Those are brave men knocking at our door. Let's go kill them!
Those are brave men knocking at our door. Let's go kill them. Everyone remembers the green explosion, the wall of fire swallowing 200 ships in a single breath, the most spectacular moment in the entire series. It is the defining image of the Battle of the Blackwater, the night a dwarf nobody respected supposedly outsmarted an entire army with one clever trick. But if we let the green fire blind us, we miss the actual masterstroke. Because Tyrion Lannister didn't win the Battle of the Blackwater with Wildfire, he won it with something far more dangerous, the certainty inside his enemy's own head, and the fire he lit that night was never really his to put out. This is the plan everyone calls genius. By the end, you might call it something darker. Start with the math, but don't look at the numbers. Look at the arrogance they create. Stannis Baratheon brings an unstoppable armada against a city that can barely scrape together a defense, outnumbering it so badly that by every rule of war ever written, King's Landing has already fallen. It just doesn't know it yet. And the man holding the keys to that doomed city is the one person everyone has spent their whole life underestimating. The half-man. A joke, a drunk, a dwarf playing at war while his betters are away. Stannis isn't afraid of him.
What are you doing? We need to attack them!
Hold fast!
Joffrey openly mocks his plan from the battlements, and not a soul in that city believes the small man can save it. That contempt is his first weapon. Because being underestimated isn't a weakness. In the right hands, it's the deadliest thing on the board. Stannis prepared for a desperate, bloody defense. He prepared for a fight. What he never prepared for was the possibility that he wasn't fighting a battle at all. He was fighting a mind. And a mind doesn't show up on a war map. Now watch what Tyrion actually does, because this is the part people skip right past on their way to the explosion. Rather than mount a doomed defense of the bay, he does the unthinkable. He abandons it entirely, sending his own royal fleet away to leave the harbour deliberately, unnervingly empty. The city is about to be swallowed by the largest navy in the realm, and the acting hand orders his only ships to vanish. Joffrey can't understand it. The soldiers can't understand it. And that confusion is the entire point. Ask yourself what Stannis' men expect to see when they round into Blackwater Bay. A last stand. A desperate Lannister fleet sailing out to die in front of them. And here is the trap hidden inside the trap. If they had seen that fleet, they'd have known something was wrong, because no clever defender throws 20 ships at 200. Resistance itself would have screamed trap. So Tyrion gives them the opposite. An empty harbour, no fleet, no fight, just one ship drifting toward them, slow and silent and seemingly abandoned. And that empty bay tells Stannis' vanguard a story. The exact story they already want to believe. The Lannisters have given up. The city is broken. The dwarf has fled and left a derelict behind. Before we get to why that empty harbour was the deadliest trap in Westerosi history, I have to ask, do you think Stannis ever truly stood a chance here? Or was he doomed the moment he set sail? Drop your theory in the comments. I read every one. Now watch what happens when the bait is finally taken. Davos Seaworth, the sharpest man on that water, looks at the lone ship and feels the wrongness in his gut. But by the time that wrongness has a name, it is already far too late. The ship has drifted into the dead center of a fleet packed so tightly that the hulls are nearly touching, and it is carrying 8,000 jars of wildfire. This is the genius nobody calls genius. The weapon didn't beat Stannis, the expectation did. Tyrion didn't hide a trap, he removed every sign of one, because he understood that the deadliest gift you can hand a confident enemy is a reason to stay confident. He fed them the illusion of total victory, and they sailed straight into the heart of it. Then the arrow falls. One man on the cliffs, a single shaft wrapped in flame, and the bay detonates. This is the moment the internet fell in love with, the towering pillar of green fire, ships shattering like glass, thousands of men burning before they ever draw a sword. The most celebrated victory in the history of Westeros. But watch Tyrion on the battlements. Peter Dinklage doesn't play it as triumph. There is no fist in the air, no grin. He plays it as a man going quietly sick, the green light flickering across his face, catching something far closer to grief than victory. Because in that exact second, a terrible truth lands on him, one the books say out loud. An arrow can be aimed, a spear can be aimed, but fire cannot. He has opened a door, and he already knows he can never close it again. And here is the lie at the very heart of this battle. The Wildfire didn't win the Blackwater, it almost lost it. The explosion only vaporizes the front of the fleet, and half of Stannis' force survives.
Come with me and take this city!
Then the nightmare Tyrion never imagined begins to take shape on the water. The burning, shattered hulks don't sink, they drift together. They lock, they pile into the narrow mouth of the river, beam against beam and deck against deck, until slowly, horribly, they become something. A bridge. A bridge of burning wood and bodies and ash, stretching across the very water that was meant to stop them. The fire Tyrion lit to drown an army has just paved them a road. His perfect trap has built the enemy a front door, and they march straight through it. And watch Stannis as they do. Stephen Delane plays him with this grim, joyless iron. No glory in his face, no battle lust, just a man stepping over his own burning soldiers because the throne is on the other side. He orders the landing and walks his men into a wall of arrows without flinching. And the defense of the city begins to buckle in front of him.
Fuck the king.
The Hound, one of the most fearsome killers alive, takes a single look at that green fire and breaks completely, his nerve simply gone, and refuses to fight. So the half-man does what the knights will not. Tyrion leads the men out himself, gives the speech, and for his trouble gets his face split open by a sword from his own side, betrayed mid-battle and left to bleed in the mud. The architect of the greatest trap in history nearly dies in the rubble of it. So if the green fire didn't win the battle, what did? A piece of paper, signed months earlier, in a quiet room, by a man who was never anywhere near that bay. While the city burned green, Tywin Lannister and the entire Tyrell army came down on Stannis' blind flank at the one moment he couldn't see them coming. Because Tyrion had already had his scouts butchered and brokered the alliance that bought the Reach. The explosion everyone remembers wasn't the victory, it was the distraction, a loud, blinding green prelude, while the real war was won in the shadows by the quiet thing nobody was looking at. That is who Tyrion is. He never wins with the loud thing. He wins with the quiet thing happening while everyone stares at the loud thing. But that spectacle came with a price, and the price wasn't paid that night. It was paid for seasons. Because where did all that wildfire come from? Not Tyrion, and not even Cersei, who only ordered more of it made. The vats, the obsession, the green fire pooled in the dark beneath the city, that legacy belongs to one man, the Mad King. Aerys Targaryen, who once ordered that exact substance hidden under every street in King's Landing.
Burn them all, he said.
So that if he couldn't keep the city, he could burn it and everyone in it to ash. Tyrion used the Mad King's weapon to save the city the Mad King tried to destroy. And here is the horror Martin has been pointing at the whole time. Once the unthinkable gets used, it stops being unthinkable. The wildfire didn't go back in the jar after the Blackwater. The door Tyrion opened stayed open, and he had proven, in front of the entire realm, that the green fire was back on the table. Seasons later, it is Cersei who finally walks through that door, lighting the same green fire beneath the great sept of Baelor and ending hundreds of lives in a single breath of flame. The act the Mad King started, that Tyrion reopened, that Cersei finished. The fire Tyrion lit to win one night never really belonged to him. It belonged to the city, and it was always going to come back for it. So the next time you watch that bay light up green, don't watch the explosion. Watch the small man standing above it, the hero of the story, not smiling, just staring at exactly what he's done. Tyrion saved King's Landing that night, but when Cersei lit the fuse seasons later, we have to ask, did he save the city, or did he simply delay its execution? Let me know what you think below.